podcast.
This is Lena.
And Alex Ortiz. We're the founders of Apetech. As part of our initiative to help people out, we wanted to create a podcast to augment some of the other things that we're going to be doing, such as blog posts and YouTube videos. But we felt it was important to have a podcast to, again, be able to reach out to the public and put value out there so that people can learn about the stuff that we're interested in and just share some of our thoughts. We have about 10 years of experience in this space, and we just want to help everybody out. So why don't we start with some introductions, tell our listeners who we are, some of our background, what we do, and then we're going to jump into today's topic. So why don't you go first?
So I am first of all, I'm a mom of 2 kids. I'm a software engineer, and I've been doing this for about 10 years. I've been jumping a little bit here and there on the different things like web and hardware development. So currently, my current position is as a software engineer in embedded systems. And I've been working defense all my career. And I just like learning, so whenever I get a chance, I go and learn new topics out there that are new to the community of developers.
Okay. And I'm obviously the father of 2. And I am a technical program manager at a small robotics startup in San Diego. We make autonomous floor cleaners for commercial and like airports and malls uses. So it's a lot of fun, a lot of artificial intelligence, a lot of cutting edge technology. Definitely really enjoy it. Working on automation and just changing the future and making the world a little bit better. And so that's basically what I do. So I'm big on Agile and Jira. I spend almost all of my days just helping the teams, the software engineers, know where the goal line is and then guide them towards that goal line and just help them prioritize and triage work as it comes in, and also help them with cross-team collaboration. So a lot of what software engineers do have a big impact from a business, from a legal, from a quality, from a requirements perspective. So I basically step back, work across all the different teams to help deliver a world-class product that our customers enjoy. And prior to that, I worked in defense for about, 10 years? Almost? 10,
Yes.
9 years?
9 years, I think.
I worked at Boeing for 6 years and Northrop Grumman for like 3.5 years. And then most recently, I decided to give up all that safety of a cleared defense job and went into a startup world where I can like literally get fired at any minute because you just never know with startups. So I have a lot of years, a lot of experience in IT. Spent pretty much almost my entire career in the defense world in an IT capacity of some sort or DevOps. So I am also a certified ethical hacker, and I'm working on my Security Plus recertification right now. And this is one of the reasons why we're putting this content out, is to kind of help me meet those continuing education units and and also again help out the community that we're trying to help out here. So for those of you that stuck around this long, thank you very much. Again, this is our very first podcast. We're going to be learning as we're going. This is going to be evolving. We are definitely super excited about doing this, and we just want to share our knowledge with the community, and we want to be here for service to help you. We want to help you, whether it's at home or if you're a business owner and you're trying to like implement these features in your place of work, or if you're just curious about security, web development, mobile development. We're going to be doing a lot of different things over the next few months. So again, we just want to just share that information and put out as much as we can, and then give you our perspective. So everybody has their own perspective on a lot of these topics, and we just want to give you ours, and kind of just fold in stories from academia, fold in stories from industry, and then just fold in stories from various places that we get our information from and just share them with you. So today's topic is going to be passwords, but not how to create passwords. We're going to be covering that later. But we are going to be talking about password attacks. So if you've ever received an email from some company saying, oops, we got hacked, you might want to consider changing your password, then you're going to want to stick around and listen to the rest of this podcast, because we're going to be talking about how that happens, and we're going to be giving you strategies for almost every single attack on how you can protect yourself and what you can do to mitigate and maybe just, again, do it so that you're not as vulnerable, right? These attacks are inevitable. As long as there are bad guys out there on the internet,
there always are,
companies will be hacked, and companies can do as much as they possibly can to mitigate and like prevent these attacks from happening. And we're going to be talking about what some companies / businesses can be doing to, again, prevent this type of attack from happening to them. But you as an end user, as an individual, you obviously have passwords too. So there's going to be some things that you can be doing. So just to kind of illustrate here what we're going to be talking about, we're going to be talking about dictionary type password attacks, brute force attacks, traffic interception / unencrypted, man in the middle attacks, keyloggers. We're going to go into some detail with respect to social engineering and how that reflects, or how that impacts or is related to passwords, rainbow attacks, and then spraying attacks. So no particular order. We're just going to jump in here and talk about passwords. Okay, so
should we start with the social engineering, because that's one of the most common ones that people don't. I think personally it's like that's one of the most users are vulnerable to, because they fall easily into it. I feel like it's just like they create a relationship with you, and they get to know you, or depending on what you have laying around in your car, or what you put on your Facebook or social media stuff. I feel like that is one of those easy ways to find out what people's usernames and passwords are.
I definitely agree with you. Social engineering is, if you don't know, just to define social engineering is basically when a strategic tactic is used by an attacker on another human,
or
right?
A company.
Well, you don't do it to the company. You do it to the individuals that work at that company, right?
Sure.
You wouldn't social engineer the building.
No.
Right, so you would social engineer the individuals that go into that place of work every day. So again, it's mainly attack vector versus human being, and any company, no matter how secure the networks are, no matter how secure their servers and how many layers of defense they create, their biggest vulnerability in this 21st century is their people. And if their people aren't aware or aren't up to date with all the latest trends in social engineering, that's where you start having these leaks. You might remember Twitter actually just got hacked, where the top 20 profiles for Elon Musk and a few other high profile celebrities, their Twitters got hacked. And the reason that those Twitters got hacked is because whoever attacked Twitter, they actually went after the top engineers and managed to get their admin passwords for the servers. And they fell victim of a social engineering attack.
Oh, they got to know them, they got to get friendly, and then they eventually got everything they needed from them.
And so again, so your biggest vulnerability is your employees or your human beings that work and interact with you. So we just want to talk a little bit about social engineering and the different types of social engineering attacks with respect to passwords. So the first one, I think, and this kind of going to transition into keylogging, is a phishing email is a type of email or some sort of text communication in which an attacker attempts to make a communication attempt with an individual. Okay? Mm-hmm. So they're going to send you a picture of a family photo, or they're going to be sending you this PDF that is going to make you $1 million overnight.
Or the most a really good one that our company tried out once is
The UPS
during
package, no?
the UPS package. Like during the Christmas time, that everybody is ordering things online, or like you need packages to get to your family members. Like this UPS package email came out, and it's like, oh, your UPS package got delayed somewhere. Click here so that you can, it helps you track and reroute it the correct way. So you're like worried. You're like, oh my, I'm not gonna get this $300 headset I bought or whatever you bought, right? So people automatically click on it because they're like, oh yes, I did order something, because most of the people do order things during that time of the year, which was interesting because a lot of people failed that test. And like, you can get emails like that are very common to you, especially if people know your habits. Let's say, for example, you order a lot of things on Amazon, and someone knows that you do, because a lot of packages are always coming to you from Amazon. They're gonna send you an email that looks like it's coming from Amazon and say, click on this link because your package got stolen or something, and we'll help you find it. And then you're gonna click on that, and that link can download something onto your actual computer hardware.
But not just that. So yes, I want to talk about two topics here then. So one is, they can send you a link where you click on it, and then something is automatically downloaded. Usually that would be like a keylogger that's auto installed and then tracks all your keyboard strokes, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But the other attack that I think is really interesting to note is they'll redirect you to Amazonian.com.
Yeah, without you, it looks exactly the same.
It looks exactly the same,
except for the URL. But a lot of people don't pay attention to the URL.
But the sign up form is there, so you type in your username and password, and you hit enter, and now they have your username and your password. And as we'll be talking in a couple of minutes about different types of attacks, once an attacker has a username and password, possibilities are endless there.
Yeah, so it's important to pay attention to the URL, because they could have you put in your username and password, right? And they redirect you to actual Amazon, where it says, oh, sorry, you entered something wrong, and now they're actually on Amazon putting your username and password.
But they already
captured your username and password on the other one.
So okay, so I think that's pretty good with respect to social engineering. We just wanted to start it off where this is probably the most common attack, because it's the easiest, right? It takes no effort to just email millions of people and get a 1% return, and that's enough.
A lot of from 1 million people. 1% is a lot.
So since we brought up keylogging, I think I'd like to transition over to keylogging a little bit more and talk about keyloggers. So keylogging is a piece of software that is installed. Let me see if we have a specific thing here. Yeah. So it's a piece of software that is installed on the computer, and okay, my F1 is definitely not working. When I hit F1, it works on our streaming software, but it brings up Chrome help. It's okay. So I might want to change that shortcut. So keylogging is, again, it's a piece of software that basically gets installed on your computer, and it usually gets on your computer in one of two ways. One, through this malicious social engineering attack, where you think it's something innocent, something from someone you're trusting or expecting, but it's actually not. And then the other way is you actually physically insert a device into your computer.
So don't be picking up random USB drives you find out there.
Right. That or attackers can pretend to be IT and come to your place of business and tell you, we've been sent from corporate. Here's a USB drive. Why don't you stick that on your computer so I can get an analysis of what's wrong with your computer? And it takes a couple seconds, and there's scripts that run automatically, and we'll be talking about malicious scripts in a way future episode. It's coming, but expect it, and we'll be talking about scripts. But yeah, so these installations just happen automatically, and they happen invisibly to you, and they happen instantaneously, and they just open up a connection to a remote location, and every keystroke that you type on that computer monitor or computer keyboard gets sent over to a location where the attacker is expecting this data to come into. So that's basically what a keylogger attack is. Now I do have some tips here, so how to prevent keylogging attacks, or how to prevent falling victim of a keylogger attack. So the first thing you got to do is don't open suspicious emails. Don't download things from the internet that you just don't know what you're downloading or what it is. Don't ever plug something into your computer that you just don't know about, right? So if you find that USB drive on the parking lot, don't plug it in to see who it belongs to. And if you are plugging into a computer that's not important or connected to any network,
make sure it's not connected to any network. So one of those dummy computers.
What else do I got with don'ts? Okay, so some of the don'ts. Now let's assume that you accidentally, because we're all human, we all make mistakes. Let's assume you clicked on it. And how do you know if you have a keylogger? So
how do we know we have a keylogger?
There's a couple of ways. The easiest way is to just go to your control panel and go to your task manager, and you're gonna see an application running. And
but how do you determine which application is your keylogger?
It's not going to be easy, because if they do it right, they're going to make it look like something you already have, right?
Yeah.
But you're going to be wanting to look for something that is constantly eating up time and network, because it's going to be transmitting data from your network, and it's going to be using CPU cycles too, because it's consistently running, right? So that's something to look at. Now the other thing, and this is the more advanced way, is you're going to want to get a piece of software called Wireshark. And we're probably going to do an entire dedicated article and podcast and probably a series on just Wireshark. But
so I know we're going to talk about Wireshark, but is this free?
So Wireshark is completely free.
Okay.
And this is a tool that basically sits on your computer, but it sits between your computer and your network, right? And so it sees every
thing that's going in and out.
Yeah, every bit of information going in and out of your computer. So let me see if I can just get a picture of a Wireshark so you can kind of just see what this thing looks like. And so here you would see everything that just comes in and out, and you'd be able to see when you go to Google and when you go to Facebook and things like that. But what you'll also see, and it's gonna just take some training here, and this is why it's the advanced way, but this is almost the most sure way of identifying a keylogger. You're going to see a constant communication to a server that's going to be popping up a lot.
Okay.
And even if there's no network activity going on with your computer, like if you don't go to any other browser and you just have a very quiet thing, you're going to see this constant stream of
something.
It phoning home.
So for all of those that are out there listening to us, I have no experience in networks. I have very little experience in the whole cybersecurity thing, just from things I've learned from my husband. But this will be also a learning kind of thing for me as well. So I'll be asking a lot of questions during this podcast. Hopefully it's the same questions you guys are asking. And if not, make sure you guys let us know what else you guys want to learn, what questions you guys have. But just, I'll be asking a lot of questions. But I'm learning on the side so I can understand this stuff too and provide some input.
Okay. So we have about 10 minutes left here, and so we're going to have to power through these.
No, really?
Yeah, because we only can record for 30 minutes on the browser. But we can record longer on the phone, so maybe next week's we'll do it on the phone.
Okay.
But, okay, so that's keylogging.
Okay.
This is obviously complicated using Wireshark. We actually offered all these services for you through Apetech. So if you feel like you've accidentally installed something, or you have a suspicion that something's up, call us. We can come in. We can help you out. Apetech.me. Apetech.me services, and we have a variety of services here. So we actually offer training, so we can help your company and employees learn about this stuff. But we can just do like a vulnerability assessment where we'll go through and go, hey, you might want to look at this stuff because something looks suspicious. We have a pricing page here. Feel free to, we do by the hour as a partnership, and then just getting started stuff. So feel free to check us out. Now that we've done that little thing, let's transition over to dictionary attacks. So the next couple of attacks, we're gonna go quick, but they're very similar and they're very common. But a dictionary attack is basically it's an attack on a password. So when you go to any website to log in for something, I don't know, let's go somewhere where I don't normally go to.
You're on the web too much.
I think IGN might have a login here. Yeah, so when you go to a website, you're gonna put in your email. Yes, I'm definitely capturing this. Okay, so let me put F1 and then get out of this. That way we can see us. So you're gonna put in your username and you're gonna put in your password. Okay, and if your password happens to be like Cupcake.
Your username or your password? Your
password, but if I put Cupcake in here,
it won't show.
Okay. But if your password happens to be Cupcake, right? Or let's say you're really, really...
You're trying to make it now Cupcake with the...
Oh, did I? Okay, so you got the that, and then you do the hashtag here for Cupcake, right? Let's just say you're very fancy here, and you're thinking you're fooling the attackers here because your password's super complex. Oh wait, let's not forget that you gotta have a capital letter here.
Yeah.
And a number.
Yeah.
Right. So this is a super secure password. So.
Cause you like cupcakes.
Yeah. It's still an English dictionary word. So a dictionary attack is basically a list that an attacker has, and they're gonna come into this website, right? And they're just gonna try every variation of every word in the English dictionary. Or actually, I'm not sure if it's just the English dictionary, but a dictionary, and they're gonna try to break into the website.
And they have a software, right, that they just runs through different.
So they're not actually sitting there. They actually have a piece of software that's doing the attack for them. So it's all automated on their behalf. So it's literally no effort. They're just hoping and banking on the fact that people use English words because they're easy to remember as their passwords. So. Now that we discussed the problem, let's talk about some protections here. So if we do hi@me.com, we do test. So when I hit, so a good way to protect yourself here is, as a developer, make sure you put a reCAPTCHA, because then you can't script clicking on reCAPTCHAs, right? Whenever you have those things, it makes it hard for a robot or a script to go and try all these attempts. So that's
oh, I see. So
that's protection number one.
If you're actually like a developer or a person who's putting this kind of sign up sheets, you're making this kind of sheets. Make sure you put a reCAPTCHA.
Yeah, add a reCAPTCHA.
As a developer to your website. Not as a user, but as a developer.
As a user, you want to be using websites
that have
reCAPTCHAs in it.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, because if I hit enter and it's gonna be wrong, then if I do something else again and I try it. Now another good thing as a developer and as a user is you're gonna want to implement a password attempt limit. So you want to limit it to like 5 attempts, right? So if after 5 times of getting the wrong password, your account gets locked for like 24 hours, or somebody gets an email, or something else has to happen, and that's a great way to again protect yourself from a dictionary attack, because you can imagine how many words are in the English dictionary, so the script is going to go through thousands and thousands of permutations. But if your website basically says 5 attempts and that's it, then that drastically reduces your chances of getting hacked against a password attack, a dictionary attack.
Unless your password is the first letter,
unless
the first word of the dictionary.
Right. So don't pick the first one. That's basically a dictionary attack.
But I think to be safe, if you're going to put passwords that are words, make sure you use phrases.
Yes.
Like long phrases too. Things that you can remember, like I love cupcakes that are made of carrots.
Right. So it is okay to use English dictionary words, but just make sure that you're making that passphrase that's 15, 16 characters long, because that's going to take hundreds of years for the software to crack.
And by that point, it's not even...
Yeah. Now, similar to dictionary attacks, let's talk about brute force attacks real quickly.
Yeah, because we have like
a couple minutes left. Okay, so a brute force is basically an attack where it doesn't matter what your password is, if it's a dictionary password or not. This software, this dedicated software for brute forcing, is going to permutate through every character. So it's going to start with like A, and then it's going to do like exclamation mark. Although passwords aren't usually one character, so it'll usually start off with at least 6 characters. So it'll be like A, and then A, B, A, C, and it's just going to permutate through every single thing until it's exhausted every character on the keyboard for 6 characters. And then it'll go to 7, and then 8, and then 9, right? But within 8 characters, which is the recommended length of a password, it will be able to crack, 90% of those 8 character passwords in minutes, right? Because the software is automated and super fast, and computers are really fast. But if you have a 15 character password, very similar, it's going to take hundreds of years for that software to get all the way up to that 15th character and crack it. So if you're gonna a good way to protect yourself against the brute force is have a long password, so that the software that does brute force, and similar to the dictionary, if you're a developer, add limits to how many times you can try it, because brute force, you can imagine how many times you have to iterate through every character on the keyboard. It's gonna be a lot of attempts. So put a limit, lock the account, you should be fine. Okay.
Should we try explain the rainbow one?
Yeah, so rainbow,
because we have a few.
So before I do the rainbow, let's do spraying. So spraying is going to be similar to dictionary and brute force, but it's in reverse. And the spraying is basically a website has gotten hacked, and bad people have a list of your usernames, right? Because most companies will password protect the passwords, which we'll get into with rainbow attacks.
They don't encrypt the passwords, but not the usernames.
But they won't encrypt the usernames, right? And your usernames are usually a lot more public, and nobody usually cares too much about their username. So what a spraying attack is basically an attacker takes your username because they know it, and they're going to hope that your password is one of the most common passwords in the world.
Which is most likely for a lot of the users.
So if you look up common passwords, a good way to protect yourself here is if your password is one of these here, you're in trouble. So they're going to come in and try to use these common passwords against your known username, and then they're going to try it. And you might be thinking, you know what, it's not me, but there's 6 billion people on this earth. I think we're getting close to 7 billion people. Somebody, I guarantee you, it's the 10 most common passwords for a reason. People do research on this, and people still have this as their passwords. So don't be thinking that, okay, maybe it's not me, but your neighbor might be using this password. So that's spraying. Now let's go to rainbow attacks, and we kind of mentioned this. So a common way for websites for individuals, attackers specifically, to get your password is going to be because websites got hacked. So you might remember the Yahoo, the Verizon, recently Razer just got attacked, right? A bunch of companies are getting attacked on a daily basis, and they're getting their databases dumped on the internet, and they usually live in this place called the dark web. And bad people go and pay a couple bitcoins, and they get access to all this information. So a rainbow attack is you take a secured password list, right, that is encrypted, but guess what? The encryption methods to create the encryption is common, right? So the algorithms are defined already. So all you need to do is reverse engineer the algorithm. It's not that easy because you have to find the key still, but you still need to be able to once you have the keys, which again you have other methods to try and discover it, you'll be able to reverse engineer the passwords and then be able to see the passwords and for what they are. So that's the other type here.
So we're running out of time here on our streaming channel on the other side, but I think we should come back and cover maybe some of these in more detail.
Yeah,
for 30 minutes.
Go into each one a little bit more.
I feel like this could be a topic on its own, each of them. That way people can kind of know what we're looking for, or what they should be looking for, and how to safely protect their business and teach their employees.
Yeah.
Or and just as a general user, how do you protect yourself
and your family, right? So we're gonna do an episode on password protection for your kids and how they can be online safely and how they can be having their own passwords that are unique to them, but also still easy to remember, so that people don't have to share them and stuff like that. So hope you enjoyed our episode. Again, this was our very first one. We're obviously learned don't record off of the website because it's got a 30-minute limit. Next time we'll be using our phones to record this.
And we'll figure out the whole camera position.
Yeah, we're going to be changing the hotkey so that F1 doesn't open up another tab in Chrome. Thank you so much. Please support us. Please subscribe. And
here to help you guys, and hopefully this helps parents, businesses, people out there.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.